Good evening and welcome to the October 9th meeting of the Board of Selectmen. If you all rise with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Happy Canadian Thanksgiving to you.
Yes. Again, good evening and welcome to those who have joined us here this evening, either in person or via the cable TV network. We do have a couple of announcements real quickly. I want to thank folks for their response in the first half of our town tax collections. Last Friday was the deadline, and the initial reports would suggest that we did very well with the first half. So again, I know it's not the most favorite check that everybody writes in the course of a year, but it's one of necessity. So we appreciate the response. Second announcement, again, we with regards to the water level at the lake, I think most anybody that's gone up by the dam knows that the gates are off, and that we have ordered new gates. We're not refurbishing these gates. We're putting actually new gates on. They're a different design, built by the same company, and we are awaiting a delivery date on those. But initial indications were that it wasn't going to be much longer than the 2 weeks that they quoted for the repairs. So we're still waiting for a final date from Whips Incorporated, I think their name is. So once that's done, we'll button the dam back up, and it probably will come up within up 8 or 9 inches to the normal winter drawdown numbers of where we are. Any other announcements from the board? We do have an appointment. We're waiting on Representative Libby, Road Commissioner, and also we were meeting with the DOT with regard to Old Alfred Road issues this evening. Don't see them, so we will forego that appointment until they show up, which leads us to hearing a delegation. Anyone here would like to address the board? Yes, sir. Please state your name and...
Hi, my name is Bob Lehman. I live on West Shore Road. I have been affected by the lowering of the lake, lost my well, and I'm not the only one. I know 2 other people that have lost their wells. My question is, I have a couple of questions. One is, I'm glad to hear that, I'm glad to hear that they're putting us as a priority at Whips Inc. so we can get the gates back. When did they receive the gates if it's only a 2-week process?
They came and picked them up last week.
They did. So,
which was late on their part.
okay. And there was no way we could have delivered them before then?
The arrangement was that they would stop by. They were on some job down in Florida or whatnot, and that was the delay on their part.
Okay. The other question is, there's an 18-inch hole, or I thought it was 2 foot when I looked at it, but I guess according to the minutes, it's an 18-inch hole. Is there a reason that needs to stay open at this time? Because the lake is down at the bottom of the gates.
Yeah, the initial, and just to be clear, the additional drawdown was not necessarily completely in support of the gate repair. The additional drawdown was so that we could rebuild the boat launch without putting equipment in the water, which was our agreement with the DEP. Okay, so when we were down 2 foot, which is the normal drawdown,
right?
All right, 3 foot is the normal drawdown every 5th year. We have yet to go down 3 feet. Okay, we're down 30 some odd inches, 35 inches to that realm as we speak, and some of that is coming back because naturally of the most recent rains. So if you're experiencing problems with your well now, the concern is, that I have, is when we, in 5 years, when we pull this back down 3 feet, okay, are you gonna have an additional problem? Now,
I did not have problems last time I went down.
part of the problem is that we've never been able to get down to 3 feet. That was one of the reasons we put the additional hole in the dam, was to enhance the flow of water out of the lake. But we've actually reached the point where that additional hole is not really contributing at all, other than it's now helping us maintain where we are, okay? But I'm not sure that, from WIP standpoint, whether there's a concern with if that lake came up 6 or 8 inches now, whether or not that inhibits their ability to put the gates back in.
That's why I understand his question to be is that now that the boat ramp has been fixed, if we plugged up that hole before you had a chance to put the gates in, would that interfere with putting the gates in? So,
Well,
I mean,
no, I don't
is
think-
that basically what you were talking
It
about?
is, and I also heard there was additional work that needed to be done to the dam, and I was
Yeah.
curious what that.
The dam, as we've now pulled everything off, we know that there's a significant amount of erosion in the dam. We've now had a company come in and look at that, but it's $10,000+ to repair that. We don't have $10,000 sitting around, so,
Neither do I, and that's what my well's gonna cost.
well, I mean, and I certainly apologize for the town for that, but this is not anything that we haven't done in the past. It's whether or not we've been able to get to the level that we're at now. Even though we've designed, and there's a vote of this Board of Selectmen some 10 years ago, plus years ago, the normal drawdown of the lake is 2 feet. Every 5th year, we draw it down 3 feet. Now, the real struggle is we've never been able to get it down to the full 3 feet, because the lake meets some sort of a level that says, hey, and you've got, water and incoming water and outgoing water, and it meets its level, basically.
So that being said, are you gonna open this hole up every 5 years to draw the lake down to this level? Or are you gonna just open the gates and hope that you get your 3 feet?
Well, the intent was not to hope we could get 3 feet, okay? The intent is by design to get to 3 feet, so that everybody has the opportunity to do shoreland cleanup and those kind of things on a 5-year basis.
Isn't that what the gate valve in there is for?
The gate valve is not sufficient to help do that. We gain an extra 1/4 of an inch drop, basically a day if we've been.
So every 5 years, that plate over that hole is
So,
gonna come
well,
out?
I mean, that's a decision that we'll have to make now, of whether or not we decide to utilize that port, if you want to call it a port, okay, to help get to the 3-foot level. We still aren't there now,
Yeah, within an inch,
okay?
but. okay.
So if you've lost a well for a foot, I'm not sure what to tell you. Because we've been almost down to, we've certainly been below 2 feet
Right.
before, okay? But the difference from where we normally
I've
are,
lost my well within the last inch of water, which we've never gotten to this low
okay?
since I've had my well. But I would like some information from the council to find out if you are gonna take that off, I need to drill a well. If you're never gonna pull that plate off again, I'm gonna, weather the storm and deal with things. But this, to me, is now a $5,000 to $10,000 decision.
Okay.
And we need direction whether or not the town's gonna remove that plate every 5 years on whether or not we make that investment.
Well, that certainly is something that, and I think we don't have a problem, I think, as a group coming up with a standard to say we will or we will not use that to get to the 3 foot, all right?
Okay.
If we had a dry year and we could get to 3 feet without it, I think you'd be in the same problem.
I don't think you can get to the 3 feet
Well,
without opening them.
I would probably
That
agree.
dynamics
Okay.
don't allow that.
So we get down to 32 inches or 30 inches or whatever the case may be. So we've only really gained an extra 6 inches, if you want to call it 6 inches, with this hole in the dam. So whether or not we use that in the future, this is a decision that we'll have to make. And I think if there's, you know, certainly interest in, hey, I need to know that, being the fact that you need to know that,
Right.
then we'll have to have that discussion.
But I think that's only as good as the board that's
Right.
sitting too. I mean, if we, the five of us say, we're not gonna take that plate off, elect somebody else, the makeup of the board changes, 5-6 years from now, another board sitting could decide to remove that plate. So that decision is only as good as the sitting board.
Okay.
Right now, the management policy, which is dated June 13th, 2006, says that the ice out level will be dropped 2 feet, not to accommodate ice out. I'm sorry, I'm way ahead of myself here. The fall drawdown will be 2 feet. The winter level will be lowered 3 feet every 5 years, starting with the year 2000 and allowing, this was updated on this 2006, but it goes way back to 2000, to allow shoreland repairs. Now, we as a board could certainly take this up and say, we're gonna change this, all right? But then again, as Selectman Durant says, it's only as good as the sitting board, because we could change this and another board could change it back, basically.
Once the gates come back, is Wits Inc. installing it, or
Yes.
they are?
Yep.
It's not the town reinstalling
No, we
So-
pulled them off. They're
They're not installed.
not gonna install them, all right, so that's new information to me. So we're gonna install them?
Yes.
it? And where are we on the priority list once those gates are installed? Once they're received?
I would say pretty quickly, because the colder it gets, the more of a problem it's gonna be. Now,
I
the
agree.
only hang-up, and we're gonna have that discussion later this evening, is the $10,000 of repair that the dam needs, from blasting and epoxy and whatnot, that we've got a rough estimate from Knowles Company, and they've got a formal quote coming to us. Now, whether or not we decide that we're gonna move ahead and do that or not, that's a 3 or 4 week out project before they.
And that is inside the dam or on the outside of
That's
the dam?
a little bit of everything, okay? If you look at the bottom, kinda hard to see with the water going through there, but if you look at the gates, you'll see that there has been some erosion in and around the bottom of the gates and on the face of where the water comes through, and, it's just an erosion of the cement. It's not real noticeable exterior-wise, although there is an erosion or etching of the concrete.
So could that be isolated with sheet pile to isolate the side that they need to work on? and
Well, I think
work-
that's the
because it's a
discussion we have
two-part
to
dam.
have, and certainly if we do that, the cost goes up with them, because they would either cofferdam it or whatever, half of the dam at a time, and go from there. And I know that there's been some discussion of epoxying, plugging everything up and epoxying the inside first, and at least getting that done. That's just a matter of plugging both ends of the,
So they would stop all water going to Arrowhead?
and/or coming back. But
Hopefully it's not going to.
well, I think we're in a good shape that it's not coming back, but if you look at the drop, it would suggest that we don't have that problem.
And the engineers have looked at it too.
I know the Lake Association's very concerned with it.
Yeah, we've had engineers at both boat launch and the dam. Received, I guess, as much of an assurance as you can get from, any engineer that, things are gonna be.
When they put the dam in, back in 93, 94, I guess, certainly there was some concern about flow back then, but I think at that time, the folks that owned the power dam at Lake Arrowhead actually participated with the town and lowered Lake Arrowhead so that was not an issue. In this current situation, they've kept the water up. So,
Thank you.
Are you gonna drop it below the 36 inches? Are you gonna go further for the repair work?
I think we're as low as we can get. And the only way that you dry it up around the dam now is to, cofferdam or something around the dam. And when it went in, there was a cofferdam that was put in, It was virtually dry. We poured a foundation, Superior Concrete dropped the dam in there all in one shot. And then they removed the dam and the coffer dam, and the water came back in. But I'm not sure that, given what we've got for poles and valves and gates missing now, we can get any lower than what we are right now.
Is the
Once
goal,
we get
is the
into
goal to
real
try
s-
and get lower?
Pardon?
Is the goal to try and get much
No, I
lower
think
than this?
we're down where we are, and the work at the boat launch is done. The only question now is getting the gates back on. And I guess we can have the discussion of whether or not we should plug the hole now, and there'll be some natural gain to the lake when we do that.
Thank you.
And whether that inhibits the ability to install the gates is really the question.
Thank you.
It's easier to take them off with that water rushing in there than it is to put them on, so. Anybody else? If not, we're gonna jump back to our appointment, which was Representative Libby. And I would presume Doug will participate in some of this, but please come to the,
How are you doing?
how'd the meeting?
Good. Did some walking on the road with John Canal, the regional manager. I think that's what it was. Regional manager of the Region 1 over in Scarborough. So, talked to him about some of the concerns that I thought I saw. Obviously driving over it myself. Most of the section, I think, from this side up past the ballpark, I think, looked really nice. It's a new road. When you start getting towards the pole lines there, to me, as I expressed my concerns, I have doubt that that's going to last 7 to 10 years. Obviously, that's expression that opinions that you guys have expressed as well, and I think it's to me, I think it's obvious that should have been resurfaced and then built up. Doug and I were just looking at that culvert as well, and it's under water and it should have been raised up. Unfortunately, the way they look at it is. And one of the questions I asked them was, what was their plan for the road, prior to the census coming out to get into the 7,500 and the urban compact. And his response was it wasn't. It wasn't on the queue. They weren't going to touch it. They were satisfied with the road at the moment. So they didn't have a plan to resurface the road prior to. And basically, their opinion is that the whole resurfacing of it and the ditching that they've done was all to please the town. They didn't think it needed it at the time, and that they've gone beyond what they would have done.
So he agreed that the road is only going to last 7 to 10 years.
That's what he believes that's ready. That skim, the way that they did that, is a 7-10 year road.
The state statute that turns roads back over to the town, specifically in the state statute, it says that the road has to be brought up to a standard that's going to withhold for 10 years minimally. So
And
they're even admitting, Aaron, that the road isn't going to last what the state statute calls for.
And you mentioned about they're going to do the test and the indexing, I don't know what the number is, but he said he's going to pass it. To me, it's this opinion versus that opinion. It's kind of, to me, I think the whole process needs to be looked at and to going forward. I mean, obviously you have one side, the state budget is trying to live within that means, and of course you have the town that obviously is trying to get the best product they can for that. So it's kind of, the idea is how is it somebody's going to be happier or unhappy in this situation. I think there's got to be a better way of signing off on this and getting everyone kind of on the same page. The idea that one's going to be happy and the one's not. I mean, to me, there's going to be a better process of transitioning this section.
Did he address the fact that they've turned over the third most dangerous intersection in York County to us now without doing any fixes?
No, that was we hadn't really discussed that. It was more
Because
on the
that's an issue
servicing.
too.
It is. Obviously, I know that was a meeting that was took prior to as well. And they looked over what their design of it didn't seem to make much sense. What they were going to do. So Now, I know, did you guys get the numbers on the, what, the increase on that with the Europe?
Yeah, they gave it to us back.
Yeah, that's, we're up, I don't know, $4,000 or $5,000, I think, for the increase in the Europe monies. The concern, I think, and you know, maybe this is maybe I shouldn't really care about this, but if you really look at this, if the condition of that road is acceptable under the state's opinion, okay? That's why we're in such, that's why the whole state is in the condition that it's in. If that's the standard that those guys are saying is acceptable, no wonder we've got roads that are, you know, I mean, it's like hiring the guy to patch the cracks in the wall. One guy comes in and puts some spackle on it, and it's good, right? And the real process should be, we're gonna take the old sheetrock off and put some new sheetrock on, because you're never gonna get rid of the cracking.
Yeah, you know,
And the state's like, oh, put a little spackle on it, it'll be good, right?
yeah, it's, like I said, it's, you know, they threw paint on a rusty car. You know, it looks nice from, you know, from afar, but it's far from good. Especially that one, you know, that section, you know, past the ballpark. You know, to me, like I said, you know, that's why I asked him. I said, I don't, you know, to me, it doesn't seem like this is going to last 10 years. I really don't see how it's going to be. But
Even before the ballpark, probably on a day like this, you're not going to see it as much, but if you go on a sunny day and you go kind of towards the latter part of the day and you look across the road, you can see that it's washboard. You don't feel it so much when you drive over it unless you're really paying attention for it, but when the sun hits the top of that so that you can see it, that entire road is a washboard, which means that once winter comes around, we start having frost heaves and whatnot, that's all going to crack up.
and we've seen it. You see the roads that, you know, they get resurfaced, you know, correctly with, you know, chewed up and then gravel put down, and then you see the ones that they just put a skim on, and some of them last, and some of them are, you know, with the plow trucks over the next winter, or look like the same as they did summer before. And you know, when you look at that, I mean, that's a huge waste of money that they just put into it. You know,
And that's not just a little neighborhood road either.
no,
You know, that road gets a lot of traffic. You have a lot of vehicles that are traveling over it that have substantial weight to them. You have trucks that are going to the bottling plant. You have all the school bus traffic that's going down there. It's a major route for the fire departments. You've got the heavy fire department apparatus, which is going to just cause the road to deteriorate even more quickly.
it's a commuting road. There's no doubt about that. It's a very heavily commuted road with lots of different traffic.
So the state says, okay, we're going to save some money here. We're going to give back some of these roads. And to take some of the sting out to the town, what we're going to say is we're going to build these roads up for 10 years, and that'll give you 10 years to put aside money to fix the road 10 years from now when it needs it. Instead, what they've done is made it good for a year and a half or 2 years, and we get stuck with the road that they gave us, and without the timeline to save the money to fix it. So here you go. I mean, this isn't the first time that municipalities have felt this kind of unilateral dumping down of the state's, what used to be the state's responsibility, down onto the towns. And everybody says, okay, we want to save the state taxes. That's one way to do it, but now you got it in the local taxes, trying to fix the roads in the local end.
So, I think when all said and done, it is what it is.
Well, the physical, you know, road, the road, like I said, I mean, obviously we're not, you know, going to tear up the road as it is. Hopefully, fingers crossed, you know, this discussion can become up, you know, in 7-10 years, and that would be the best case scenario on that. But I think, you know, looking forward, I'd like to look more into this. I'd like to see what, you know, seeing this, you know, firsthand, this transition, it just doesn't make sense the way it was done. You know, something's going to be done differently. You know, this idea of good, what is good, you know, this and that, you know.
Now, we haven't signed anything to take possession of the road.
No, other than how do you want to say it, was
They said you're getting it back, but
right. I think discussion at the meeting that we had here is that it would be,
I mean, if we
It
don't
would make
formally
sense to-
accept it,
well, I'm not sure that you have, I mean, at this point, and that's what the letter from Ken said, you don't have a choice.
Well, other municipalities have refused.
Yeah, but
And
not,
force
not under,
DOTs
not
in.
under the, not under the urban compact.
Buxton,
so
Buxton Hollis, one of those.
Well,
So if we feel the
Hollis wouldn't
conditions-
qualify, because they're not 7,500 people.
so if we
Yeah,
feel the
Buxton-
conditions aren't right, if we feel the conditions aren't right, and we don't officially accept the road, they give it back, but we don't accept it, and 3 years from now, that road is in terrible shape, I know I mean, this isn't a formal situation, but informally, we can sue the state for breach of contract. You said it was gonna be good for 10 years, it's not?
The state still owns, and I'm not trying to defend them, but just trying to clarify this, they still own the road, right?
Yeah.
We're
They
responsible
own
for
the
the-
road. We are responsible for the maintenance of the road, right? So what all of us has been, and the several letters that were sent from both the town administrator and the road commissioner, all were relative to, hey, okay, if we're gonna take over the maintenance of the road, these are the things that we see need to be done, right? So they acquiesced to the fact that, okay, we'll put some skinny mix on it. And we'll do the shoulders and it'll be just fine. So the structural integrity of the road, they still own, in my mind. Because if something structurally goes wrong, that's on the state,
That's there, yeah.
right? We're only responsible for the maintenance of the road. Again, I'm not defending them, I'm just trying to say that that's really kind of where this is all gone.
I was under, from what I was told, that you have signed something agreement or agreed upon something, and on July 1st, the town took it over.
Well,
I
I
haven't
think that
seen
was
that, but that's what I was told.
based on them bringing the road up to a specific standard,
And we get-
meeting with the road commissioner, and that just hasn't happened.
We'll get back to that, good.
Well, there's probably been some unilateral meetings, right? I'm not sure that the road commissioner had to be there for them to say, hey, we came to a meeting.
Yeah. Well, the state statute does say that it has to be done with the town.
Yeah, it does say, so many days after the discussion that the town, the state DOT will meet with the road review, road commissioner or public works director, and then go from there. I think that was done. We've got several letters here of issues. They did do some drainage upgrades. I think they just, again, it's like the guy putting spackle on a wall, right?
How come the gentleman from DOT didn't come over to this meeting with you? I expected to see
He's
DOT
crazy.
here tonight.
I had mentioned it to him before, and we'd asked him, whether you were coming over, and that was.
Someone tells me he didn't want to be in an adversarial
No, I don't think,
confrontation.
he's not gonna jump into this. That's my own version.
I'd like to see the town, once again, go on record and state that we are not accepting this road, and list the reasons why. And as Tammy Jo said, they have not followed up on what they said they were going to do. And make this an issue, not only for ourselves, but other towns that basically are getting the shaft.
Is that a motion?
I'll put that in a motion, yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay. Been moved and seconded that we notify the state that we won't accept the road,
No, it's not gonna change anything, okay? But
Yeah.
at least we are stating how we feel.
And I would agree. I think Attorney Cole has said, we really don't have a choice, right?
Well, we can still speak.
So I think we at least
on
go
record.
on record that says that even though they've done some
Cosmetics.
cosmetics is probably the correct term.
I think,
We don't believe that the road is meets the standard that it should for us to take over maintenance of the road.
That we feel that this road is gonna cost us in the near future undue cost to maintain it, when if they had done the job right in the first place, we would not be subject to this expense. And it's basically a.
You know, I feel most people have a sense of fairness and common sense. And for the state, and they have done this for several years now, not just this administration, but the whole state governments, have passed down and passed down and passed down burdens upon municipalities. And, you know, I personally am fed up. I'm fed up with taxes and everything else, but it just keeps coming down the pike. And we may not be able to shut it off, but maybe we can bend it a little bit. I'm tired of it.
Well, it's been moved and seconded. At least go on record that we're not accepting total responsibility of, I don't know how you word this, David.
I don't either, but it needs to be given some thought, and I think basically we can use their guideline. You know, they're gonna do this, this, and this, and everything's gonna be hunky-dory, and everybody's gonna be happy. Well, they haven't done this and this.
It's a protest. It's a letter of protest saying that they did not do the job
It's a
that we expected
letter
them
of
to do.
principle.
I'm fine with that. I'm just, you know, we can say we're not gonna accept the road. We have winter maintenance
Again,
contract starting in.
Again, I think what you said is, Dennis, is that they're not giving us the road, it's their road. So naturally, we wouldn't say we're not going to accept it, but we can say we protest the work that you did, that you said that you were going to do, that would last us for 10 years, and we know that this work is not going to last us for 10 years, and we protest the work that you did.
But that's fine. If that's the tone that you want to have in the letter, then I'll sit with Nancy and see if we can come up with something. All those in favor? Opposed? Like I said, I'm not sure we change the meter at all.
It's not gonna, I know it is, you know?
And we'll certainly make sure that we copy you.
I've already, yeah, well, this, I was gonna say now that I've met, you know, with the regional director, now I wanna go, you know, go beyond that. I wanna get to, and talk to, you know, people in the commissioner's office and see, you know, this is how it, you know, went down. Is this how it's supposed to happen? Is this the transition? Is this the normal?
Who's
Growth.
the chair of the legislative committee? Isn't it a joint committee on transit?
Yes, a joint committee. You get Representative Sebra was the House chair, and then Senator Collins, the state senator. Yes.
York?
Well, he lives in Wells, but yep.
So we need to make sure that they're aware of this. I'm not sure that we've copied them before. I know we've sent a copy to the governor, but that's in the grand scheme of what he has to look at in the course of a day, my guess is didn't make it very far. Okay? Anything else, Aaron?
No, that's, you know, on that, like I said, I wanted to go further into this and see on that, and
Well, we certainly appreciate your time and effort. We'll see where this goes with us.
see what we can do. Might as well keep plugging along. I think, you know, I think the town took a, you know, hard stance on it, and I think you got, you know, something out of it, you know, that you might not have got anyway. So, you know, in a dog meeting, you know, I met with them up there as well, and so I think, you know, got something out of it. It just, I think they probably should have done a little bit more gravel work before they put the paint in the car, but.
Well, that's always the case, right? I mean, it is what it is, like I said. Okay?
Anything else?
How are the blueberries this year?
Blueberries are good. They had a really good berry crop. It's the apple crop that wasn't good. So got hit with that early frost, so down the apples. So one's up, one's down. You know? What are you gonna do? Mother Nature.
That's why you grow multiple crops.
Diversify, yeah. Try to. But you need all of it, though. That's my problem. You need all of it to pay the bills. So, but oh, well. Such is life.
All right, thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get back to the agenda. I've been trying to peruse to find the last letter that we sent here, but haven't successfully come up with it. Let's get into reports. Jerry, you're in the back there?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I could hear everything.
That's good.
You have before you the abatements that 1310 through 1319. How do you want to handle these, Mr. Chairman?
Well, it's a pleasure of the board. Everybody reviewed what's in the packet?
I had a question about 12,
Number 12.
mobile home that's gifted freely.
It's-
But why would we be
this is a-
abating the taxes? Just because somebody gave away a property that they owe taxes on doesn't?
No, the Frank Bickford estate is one where taxes were let go and not being paid on this particular mobile home unit. It ended up going to Lacey LaJoy, who I believe is a daughter or a relative. Personally, probably it's probably one of those units that being dismantled might be the kindest thing to do to this unit. But there are back taxes. They're difficult to lien. In this condition, I guess we can get what we can get. And what we're getting is 3 years of taxes being paid by the proposed person that it was gifted to. And they will spend some money to make it livable, I'm told. What we are looking at is the taxes in the past that never got caught up. The values that we had on that older trailer was probably almost 30 or 40% higher than it should have been. In other words, we didn't follow its demise. I think it's been in rough shape for a long time. So we're getting some good out of it, and then the people who are going to take it over are going to make it better.
So we're just gonna debit down the back taxes.
Mhm.
There's no cash reimbursement from the town, correct?
No,
Because in the past, when these mobile homes have been liened, and somebody wanted to come along and buy it, we sold it to them.
going back in the old days.
Well, I mean, back in the old days, as recent as 3-4 years ago.
I
But
don't
that was
remember.
at
Well, we
that was at the request of the mobile home park management. So, and ultimately, they wanted them off the park. Sounds like this one's gonna be reconditioned in place.
Yeah, probably with her blessing. I mean, the owner of the park. She's aware of the situation.
1310 mentions that parcel of land was assessed for 7 acres. And
Yes.
then you went back and looked and reviewed an older assessment for 2 acres. I wonder how it could have been assessed for 7 acres when it was 2 acres, unless possibly that old assessment is old enough that 5 acres was added to it at some time. So how can that happen?
Because it was part of a larger piece that went across the road. I can't remember the name of the road now.
Hamilton,
You turn left before you get out of town as you're heading up.
the Hamilton Road?
Yes, thank you very much. Across the street from Hamilton, there's a field, and the ownership kind of broke the road. And the error was made when during the revaluation, we picked it up as a 7-acre piece, meaning 2 sides of the road. The older card at least says that the part that is on the Neal portion, according to her deed, is, of course, she's in Lyman. There's a strip that runs under her garage that belongs to the town. And that's about a 2-acre strip. And it's been that way, we think, for quite a while. It got mixed up in the reval when 7 acres loomed up because of ownership of the family in past years.
I have a question, Jerry, on how you come up with, and I know this is a loaded question, answer, whatever it is, of assessing the value of these properties. You have this 1310, 2 acres, revised valuation 21,001. You go to a few others, 1311.
Oh, the abandoned building?
Yeah, it has 3 acres of land and could be used as a house lot. The house is basically, could be used for a shed, but it's probably not even fit for a shed, the way it's built. I mean, you're saying that's worth 2,900. The land is worth 61,000. Then you go to 1319, we have a parcel that has several, 7 acres of questionable land, and it's been removed as a house lot. It was valued at 86,600, and now it's valued at 10,005. I mean, is this because it's not buildable, or because it's not on a road? I mean, you've got...
Lack of information is the answer. We don't have all of the information. The
Then
deed-
why are we given abatements?
Well, to make it fair, in other words, the person does not, this is flowage. You're probably familiar with this stuff. Route 5 it used to be part of the lumber mill. This flowage was never really assessed. It's on the tax map as a lot, but it's not really assessed, and it's part of that ownership that runs all the way down to an old subdivision on that side of the road that comprises 25 acres. It's information we don't have when we get the deeds.
Well, do you have enough information now?
Yes,
You think you do? Now, how much of this land is above water on 1319?
1319?
Yeah.
Two to three maybe, acres maybe.
So why is 2 to 3 acres worth 10,000 in one lot and 21,000 in another, and
Well, you're
10,000?
you're running in different parts of the town, which, as you know, when we had the revaluation, we have, I think there's 70 areas where the home sites will vary because of the condition, not the condition, the location they're in. In other words, being up on Hamilton Road or being up on West Road, these house lots were different values, different zoning.
Well, what part of the town is the least expensive, because I'd like to move there?
Yeah, but it's not only that. You've got some lots that are buildable, so there's a value that's higher, and they're on road frontage, and there's some that aren't on road frontage that aren't buildable, right? So I mean, there's certainly a different weight applied to the condition of the land.
Well, weight and regulations for disposal systems. I mean, you can't put a disposal system on every lot. The one that has the shed-type house that was abandoned, that lot's not in a bad neighborhood. I mean, I think Mr. Foglio has built some condos up there, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's not a bad area. It's going through a change, I think, because there's new homes being built in there. That one already is approved for a house lot. I think it has a well, but I'm not sure, and it probably could hold a disposal system. So there is some value on some land and not so much value on other. But we can't assess them all the same. If you do in Lake Arrowhead, all the buildable lots in Lake Arrowhead are $30,000. But that's the system that's put in place before I came. But we can't do that with the rest of the town.
Well, I guess I'd like to see us work towards that as a unified assessment and treating properties. I mean, I know they all have different aspects, okay? But I don't think we're at the point where we are assessing things appropriately, in my opinion.
Any other questions on any of the other lots? What is your pleasure?
There's a, and I don't know why Jerry's up here, and it gets away from the lots a little bit, there's a sales table that you've handed out. Would this be appropriate here, or should I wait until
Well, let's
after?
take care of what we're gonna do with these
Okay.
abatements. We're either
Yep.
gonna approve them or deny them or whatever, so I guess
I'll move that we approve the abatements as recommended.
for the second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. You were opposing, Gordon?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-2. While he's here, if you want to talk about the sales.
Yeah, the sales chart, is this, these 12 sales, is this over the past year across Waterboro? What's the,
No, this is only 1 month, July 2012.
okay, I'm not sure what, and what does the AV, it looks like average dollars, but
No,
what?
that'd be the assessment value. I didn't put a whole.
Okay, that's the assessment value.
Map and lot assessment.
And then the
sale,
actual sale price within the past year?
On that month. Everything is July 2012,
On what?
1 month.
Okay.
And
So-
August, I believe, has come in this week.
So I guess the question, I just quickly looked at this, and the ratio of the assessment value and the sales value is up out of the 12, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 out of 12. And we've been talking about assessment value going down. Is this contrary to what the belief has been, that the actual assessment values are rising again?
I think it's a trend to show that maybe there was a slight pickup, but again, it's the month of July. July is probably a very active month. I think the telling story would be the rest of the year. In other words, what happened in August, what happened in September and October, and it kind of, so it could be that it's not getting any worse, but again, it's only 1 month. If you were to do the sales ratio the way the state would do it, we'd take off the 25% high, drop the 25% low, and if you did that, you'd come up with 103%.
Okay, but still,
What
that's
July?
that's from 2007 until
Yeah.
now?
Yes.
So, you know, when we're under the assumption that they've dropped from 2007 until now, but on this right here, if the average is up 103%, that flies a little bit in the face of what we're...
It's getting better.
We're 103% of what the average, what the assessed value is 103% of what the sales were, right? So we're 3% higher than what the sales were.
Oh, I see. It's only in five out of the,
So what-
okay,
so
I
what-
see, okay. So in only 5 out of the 12, it's gone up.
Right, so
Okay.
remember, a week or so ago, I asked that we at least look at, to see if we could see some sort of
Yeah.
trends and whatnot. So this is just a snapshot of July.
Right.
All of the sales that came in that are good, out of 25 sales, only 12 of them are usable.
Right.
So it gives you a somewhat of a pulse of, are we way off? I mean, we talked the other day that we're 10% high,
Yeah,
and if you look at July, on average, if you, and you did it based on state guidelines, we're 3% high.
It looks like if it kept this pace, the 2007 revale is starting to catch up with the market, or
And
the
if you-
market is starting to catch up to the
If you
revale.
look at the assessed values, those that are assessed the highest are the closest to the market.
Correct.
So anything that's
But still, 5 out of the
$300+
12,
$1,000 there.
actually, people made money in 5 out of 12 cases.
The sad part is that we get 25 of them and only 12 are usable because
Yeah.
there's foreclosures,
Right.
family. But you'll be getting these once a month.
Any other questions for Jerry?
Is it foreclosures that make them non-usable?
Or
is it
family-
Yes.
quick sale or?
Quick sale, foreclosures, bank sales,
family sales?
family sales, corporate sales that we don't understand who the corporation is, those kinds of things. They're not what we call arm's length transactions.
So family, if a
Family is another
parent
one.
sold it to the child
Yeah, they
at a
do that.
reduced price, that makes.
We throw that out.
All right.
Or we don't use them, I should say.
All right, thanks, Jerry.
Here.
Code officer, Mark's been quietly sitting back there. He has tomorrow off.
Evening.
I was going to start off talking about the wells, but I guess that's been discussed, so I'll skip that part. I only had 3 calls so far, and it was about well points that have gone dry, and I suggested they go to the hardware store, get a 100-foot length of pipe and a check valve and throw it in the lake, and they did it and it worked. So
Now, all of these that are having issues, points,
the 3 people I've spoken to had points. The Lehman property was the first one I heard that had a problem with a dug well. I guess they've got an 11-foot deep dug well. They hit ledge, and that's as far as they could go. But haven't had any, haven't had a lot of calls about it. And, I've been recommending that they just throw it in the lake and try to get through it. It won't take long to come back up. And the last time I spoke to you folks, we talked about my conducting free energy surveys for anybody who wanted them. We put an announcement on the website. We put an announcement in the reporter, and I'm sorry to say that no one has called for a free energy survey. So if you know anyone who would like one, have them give a call. I see fuel oil is about $3.50 a gallon right now.
Was it ever passed on to you about a specific residence in town that had asked for an abatement from the board, and one of our recommendations was to have an energy audit? Was that ever passed on to you? Because apparently the electricity bill, I think is what we were talking about, was significantly higher than what some people thought it should be. I know that I remember the board
I haven't heard
recommending.
about that one, but I did speak to Nancy and about doing a survey for someone.
Okay.
And I contacted her, and we're going to get together this
Okay,
week.
that's the one? Okay.
Is that the one?
I would guess that's probably the one, because that would be the only one that
That
she would do.
you know, yeah.
I know I can cut the electric bill in there. Efficiency Maine has a program right now that anyone who has an older refrigerator can have. If they've got it in the garage, even you can call Efficiency Maine. They'll come and get it, take it away, and give you $50 just to get those things out of the stream of people using it. A lot of people will go get a brand new refrigerator, put the old one in the garage, and put beer in it, or something like that, or
Yes.
they put it in the basement, they put a keg in it or something. It's just, they're just terribly energy inefficient. They should just be dismantled and taken away. But you can get rid of these old things for free and make money on it. So Efficiency Maine is always looking for a way to give away that money that we all chip in every month when we pay our utility bills.
Well, if they'd replace it with another refrigerator, an efficient refrigerator, you'd probably have a lot more calls. Because they're gonna have someplace to put that beer.
Cash for plunkers or something, right?
Yeah.
how many refrigerators go down at the transfer station?
Well, it'd be interesting to know what Efficiency Maine does with those refrigerators that they come and collect. Somebody's gonna take the freon out of them.
Apparently that's not a big problem with them. It's been recommended, and I will be going soon to take a lap around the lake in a boat to see if there's anything that we can see that might be flowing into it that shouldn't be flowing into it, such as a laundry setup or an old septic system.
Gray water.
Or you never know. We're going to be doing that around Peaks Island once many years ago, and it was pretty interesting to see all the straight pipes that flowed into the ocean. The planner The tax assessor, Tina, the planning and code secretary, and I are all meeting every Wednesday morning. It's a little staff meeting so we can all get together and share what's going on in our departments, and I think it's working pretty well because I'm not here Mondays, Tom's not here Fridays, Jerry's only here Tuesdays and Wednesdays, so it's good for us to get together and share what's going on in our various departments, because we do kind of intermingle throughout the day. The May Street property we talked about, I had a complaint about, I've contacted the attorneys that are handling that foreclosure, and I'm hoping that the sale is going to occur pretty soon, but they've promised me that they're going to have a maintenance crew go over and clean it up, and if they don't, I'm just going to threaten them to hire someone for ourselves, have it, and then send them the bill, and we'll put a special tax assessment on there if you wish to cover the cleanup cost. I think they'll do something soon. The court recently reversed a decision of the ZBA and the issuance of a building permit by the former code officer for a temporary garage on the West Shore Road. I had issued a new permit since then for a permanent garage, and the applicant didn't build the garage, but the abutter found out through the court discovery process that they had a new permit. So they came to the ZBA to appeal my decision to issue that permit, and the board found that they didn't have standing. It had been more than 45 days. The neighbors who have been not getting along for some time, one of them has put their house up for sale recently.
So, what was the basis for the court reversing the decision?
Natalie, the town attorney, said that she didn't think the findings were very good. The judge said that the planning board should have issued a permit for a temporary use, but it wasn't a temporary use, it was a temporary structure. So when I issued the permit, not long after I got here, I asked Natalie about it. I saw that the file was about 3 inches thick and probably had 1,000 pages in it, and I called her and said, "This looks like a hot one, what do you think?" She said, "Well, just issue it on its own merits and issue it and look at it like you would any other permit," and I found no reason to deny it, so I issued it. So they do have a current permit to build a permanent garage on that property. We haven't heard that if they're going to go back to it.
Which went to the ZBA. ZBA didn't act on it because of the line.
Right. There is something in the law that they could go back to the court, and the court could remand it back to the ZBA and ask them to hear it. I got a hunch that's not going to happen. I think with the potential sale of the home, that this may be over, I hope. But time will tell. There have been 18 new homes built year to date, or currently under construction. It's far from your old numbers, but it's better than 2. I mean, it's getting better. We've got some new businesses that we're working with in town. There's a new car repair facility proposed. We're going to be beginning to review a 50 by 100 foot garage up on the Saco Trail. There's a personal fitness training facility being built right now. It's going to be a one-on-one type thing where you work with a personal trainer. It's not going to be open. You're not going to have 30 people in there working out on various machines.
No Zumba?
No Zumba. Well, not there. That's a hot one, isn't it? The bank, as everyone knows, the bank recently relocated from Hannaford into Dunkin' Donuts Plaza, I call it. And we had another commercial building that the owner wanted to build a 1,200 square foot commercial duplex just off Main Street, but decided not to because I asked him to go to planning board because it was over 1,000 square feet, which requires site plan review. He didn't really want to go through the planning board process. So he's going to turn it back into a residential use like it was in the first place. There's a 5-unit commercial building underway on 202, being built by Victor Wright. It's going to be, probably all aware of what it is, but for anyone watching, it's going to be it's kind of an incubator business. It's not very big office spaces, but it's going to be affordable, nice new place to run your business. There's 5 spots in there. And that should be up and running by, I'm going to guess, Christmas at the latest.
I guess I'm not familiar with what an incubator.
That's where they just start a little business. If you don't want to get a great big business space, they're not very big
Well, you have
spaces.
these little tiny offices for
little
different
offices.
things, like a copy office or
Yeah.
something like that. Oh, okay.
There won't be a
So for
one-man-
startup businesses.
One man or one woman attorney in there or something.
Okay.
On the town website, I've been seeking a volunteer electrician and plumber to do a couple of town jobs. If you know of anybody who is looking for a tax write-off, we could use those 2 volunteers. We're looking to hang some ceiling fans at the public library and to install a water closet at the Public Works facility. Those are 2 things that really require master tradesmen in those fields. And though most of us could probably do it, we can't. I've asked for volunteers from the website. Any questions about any particular properties around town? Or any issues?
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Saco River Card. Sean, you've been very patient there.
Evening, folks. Saco River Corridor Commission, we had a meeting on the 26th of September. Seem to have a pretty full agenda every time we meet, a lot of stuff going on. Some of the things we've seen continuous about every month is time extensions. People's permits run out, they're issued a permit for 2 years, they come back for a time extension. We're continuing to see some for 3rd time, 5th time. That's 6, 10, 12, 20 years. I think those days are going to go by the wayside. You're going to get one time extension, and from that point on, I think the board's looking at requiring people to reapply for all new permits. Some people haven't done anything in 10 years. And, don't apply for a permit. We understand these times that it's a little tough for people to finish projects, but some people haven't even started them yet. So we're looking at that a little more aggressively and going to limit how long we give for extensions. We've also had quite a number, and it seems to run in cycles, where you'll have the same issue come several times in a row, and one of them's been after the fact permits for constructing stairways to the water. And people need to be aware that if you're in the Saco River Corridor Commission zoned area, you are required to get a permit to construct stairs down to the water. And we're having people, and it's not just in Waterboro, it's in all the towns, it's encompassing. The commission has been constructing stairways down to the water and caught. Neighbors are turning them in, or code enforcement goes there, or their town for something, and they're kicking it back on them.
Is this Saco River Corridor map available on the websites, Does it show where?
I don't know if it's on the website. They're compiling a thing. I've spoke with Joy, who's the assistant up there at the commission, to give me some kind of a diagram or map of what's actually in the town of Waterboro that would be governed by Saco River. But, if you're in the Lake Arrowhead, period, you're in Saco River. If you're anywhere within 500 feet of the water, you need to come get a permit to do it. But, when people have stairways that they've had there and they say, well, they're rotting, they need to be replaced, and they're just replacing them, you still need to come before the board and show us what you want. Because some people, unfortunately, get a little elaborate with what they want. And we are also looking at standards for what would be the best type of stairway to put into the water. And this last meeting, Dennis had received some information from the Portland Water District, I believe, and what they're looking at for standards of things that are done within their watershed area on Lake Sebago Lake. And I'm trying to come up with something that works for everybody. I hope to have, they'll probably have something in the near future on that as to what we'd be looking for under a normal condition. Obviously, if you've got steep, extreme slopes, it may not apply. We may have to look at it on an individual basis. But I just want to make people aware that they do need to come, you know, even if they have stairs there, they need, you know, if they've got to replace them, they need to go to the commission. It's just easier to get permission than it is to come back after the fact with no information and get it done right the first time.
If you get a map, I'd be interested in a copy of it.
Yep. Yep. One of the other things that come, Lake Arrowhead community come before the board last month seeking permission to install an 8-inch water line across the lake. And it's going to be a redundant line to their 8-inch main that they have now crossing the lake. And their purpose for putting that in is if they were to have a failure on that line, say in the wintertime, it's the middle of the winter and the lake's froze, you can't get in to repair, they need to be able to have another way to bring water to the community and provide their residents with a water source. And that was approved by us. I know they have to get other permits and stuff, but we did approve that. I think it's a sensible idea to do. Yeah. And that's about it, just a normal everyday
Sean,
stuff.
the extension of permits, I mean, the only reason that people continue to do that is because Saco River Corridor has a process to do that, right?
Exactly.
So, I mean, if there was a hard stop that said, you know, the permit is good for X, it can be renewed one time, and then that's it, right?
Yeah.
Then most of these will go by the wayside.
Yeah, and what you get, a lot of people, you know, they have an idea, they're gonna sell my house, my land someday, so they come in, they get a buildable permit, so they can sell it, market it as that. They say, well, I have the permits in hand for you to be able to build tomorrow. And it doesn't happen, and then they just extend it. And the commission, unfortunately, I think there's 13 members, you know, and it changes hands a little bit. And people have allowed things to go along. But we pretty much are setting the line now with the commission that's in place right now. That we're looking at our policy to be one extension. The other thing you get is that people will transfer the property. They will sell the property, and the new owners, well, I didn't know about it, so, you know, I need an extension. So we've kind of worked with them, letting them know, you know, you're going to get a one-time shot, and after that, you need to reapply. And the standards, when they ask for an extension, part of that, it has to be that there's been no change in rules that would prohibit them from getting the permit that they originally applied for. So it's a matter, to me, it's a matter of them trying to beat the gun and not paying the money to apply for that permit. And to make sure they can market their property, you know. There are some cases where people have started the projects. You get 2 years, you come back, you know, and they're just not quite done. You give them the extension, they come back, well, part of the project was to have a garage. Well, we haven't been able to build a garage because we don't have money. We understand that in these economic times that we've had right now, and we try to work with people. But when there's been nothing done for 6, 8, 10, 20 years, you know, you wouldn't get away with it with the town. The town isn't going to extend it that long. And, you know, one of my recommendations to the board was that they have an updated septic soils design. Those are only good for 2 years. So if you have a soils design to build a house, you come back to us, it better be updated. So they're going to have to pay a soils engineer to update that and keep it current. Whereas before they just let it go, you know, well, they had one on file, and, you know, when the time comes to get the permit for the town, they're going to need to update that. Well, town needs it, we should require that they have an updated septic design. And so we're looking at the policies on that, and I think that's what's going to be implemented in the near future. That's about what's going on with the corridor.
Okay. Questions? Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Okay, Selectmen's, road commissioner, almost jumped right by you.
what do you want to know tonight? The water's down fairly well in the lake. I've had the man up there to look at cleaning the dam up and putting an epoxy coat on it. I don't know how many of you have been up and looked at the damage that's been done by the acid rain and the damage to the steel from just time. There needs to be something done about it. But first, I'd like to have the board think about the boat that's chained to the dam. Seems to me that I've had two different people tell me that that boat has traveled back and forth across the way, which bothers me tremendously. And I don't know why anybody's got their boat chained to the dam. Probably shouldn't be any of my business, but, you know, the boat's chained to the dam and nobody seems to come and take it away. And I think that I will not cut the chain to take it off, but I would think that there's no license on it, and it seems to me that that our honorable law enforcement division ought to have the boat removed.
Well, it'd actually probably be, not fishing, the game wardens.
Well, somebody, which is law enforcement.
Well, if it's hooked to our property, then I'm not sure why we wouldn't cut the chain. Throw it in the back of the truck, take it to the town garage, and if somebody says, hey, what happened to my boat? Come up to the town garage and get it.
How long has it been there, Doug? I didn't know that was...
It was there when we started working on it, on the dam, back in September 4th. It was chained to the dam, and it's been chained there ever since, and, you know.
I thought you were using that boat. I didn't know what the heck is that thing doing?
It had nothing to do with me, John. It wasn't, it's somebody's boat, you know, and it concerns me greatly. I don't know if I brought it up last week or not about getting a quote on a fence. I talked to Dennis about it, and I've talked to Nancy about it. There are people that are just going back and forth across the road, back and forth. They're fishing over here, they're fishing over there, they're fishing over there, they're fishing over here. You know we got extensive amounts of milfoil right there at the outlet of the pipe. You know, I don't like the feeling that I get when I say to people, well, you can't go on the dam to fish. But then I don't like the thought of getting milfoil in Ospey Lake. That's our single greatest resource that we have in this town. And, you know, if we gotta spend a little money to protect it, I think that it's money well spent. And we really need to put a fence up from the private property over to the other side and put a gate on it and a pair of stairs down into the dam so that the gatekeeper can get in and out, and we keep people from transporting milfoil back and forth across the road. I mean, I just think it would be a horrendous mistake to do this, to not do this at this time. What is it, like canoes and stuff? Well, they're
Fish
using their
hooks.
flying equipment, their fishing equipment. They could easily lug a sprig of milfoil back and forth on a hook. Oh, I see. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can get there. Ducks can walk across the road. Birds can get across the road. Somebody can eat it and digest it and pass it and still get it across the road. I mean, but it seems to me that we ought to be able to, we ought to take whatever steps we could. You've ordered a new set of gates for the dam. I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but I wasn't aware of it. I didn't know that I got elected to be the dam repairman, but somehow I seem to have inherited that project, not of my own making. But I asked the guy, I said, you are gonna come up and put these on? And he said, well, I gave him a price to reinstall the gates, and, you know, I guess Nancy decided that Tommy and I should reinstall the gates, because he had told her that it'd be a minimum of $7,000 to reinstall. That's on top of the $5,500 or whatever it was price to repair them. The quote was for almost $13,000 to do the job. So when you decided to put the new gates in, you're still going to be, I mean, I've got to hire a crane to go up there to put these new gates out there and dangle them down and put them on. But I don't think it's gonna cost $7,000. So that's why I guess that she elected to have, us put the gates back on.
Sounds like a very prudent decision.
You're gonna need that boat to do that? Well, what are we gonna do about the fact that the new gates are going to be drop gates? You have a 36-inch drop on the gate, and you have about 18 inches of distance between the bottom of the gate opening and the top of the material in the bottom of the lake. You can't lower them down. Somebody's got to excavate that material out that's in front of that gate opening. I just, before I go up there and spend your money, I want you to understand that there's got to be some work done there.
So you're saying because of the material in front of the dam, the gates really can't be put in properly?
They can be installed, but you never be able to lower them.
Well, that's been one of the problems with the whole design from the get-go, is that when all of that, I mean, when the dam was new and fresh and there was no debris up against the bottom of the dam and whatnot, logic would tell you that you can lower them down and there's plenty of room below the opening to do that. Now that 16, 18 years of water movement and whatnot, there's debris up against the bottom of that dam that's got to be removed so that you can do exactly what you said.
Well, we talked about the dam gates going up or going down. What has happened is there's a seal around the inside of the gate. The gates were never designed to be raised. They were always designed to go down, because when you went down, the seal always stayed intact. The bottom seal especially always hit against the face of the aluminum sheeting. So as the gate went down, you still had contact, and you just lost it on the sides. The tops were beveled, and as you brought it back up, the seal reapplied. When you bring the gate up, the bottom rubber flops out. When you put the gate down, it's a guillotine. It cuts the rubber off. Hence, no more seal. So, from the first time they ever lifted the gates up and put them down, you started cutting the seal right in two. You had the guillotine effect. I'm going to cut the seal off. So, and when you lift your gates up from the bottom, you take out what's considered to be the dead water out of the middle, but you never skim the top. So you got all of the debris floating around here. So that's why everybody recommends that the gates go down, so you have the skimming action. You pass everything. And in this case here, maybe the best thing we could do, because if anything does become over there and starts to float, chances are we'll send it back where it came from, if it gets caught in the current, okay? But having said that, when you only have that much distance between the bottom of your opening and the top of rocks that big, the gates aren't going to go down. So we need to get down there. In order to do that, on one side, I'm sure that we can take the guardrail down, and with our new little excavator and a little extra equipment, I'll put that right down over that hill, and I'll dig that out. Was it you, Gordon, said you didn't want to go with me? Is that what you told me, you didn't want to ride with me when I was going down there and do that? I was questioning going down there. Well,
It can be done, I guess is what you're saying,
I
right?
think it can be. But on the other side, we got all the trees.
Yeah.
What do you want to do about the trees?
Trees weren't there when the dam went in.
No. And if we go down there, the trees can't be there when we get down there.
Who owns the tree? Who owns the property?
Town,
Well, it's behind
It's the town?
I assume,
town owns the road, and it's really part of the construction of the road when you really,
Get rid of the trees
I
then.
would say it's within the bounds of the right of way, David, okay? Then get rid of the damn trees.
Now, if you're gonna start excavating around the dam, dare I ask, Are we gonna have to get any permits?
I've looked into that. When we had the problem at the lake, and we had sand and we had to reapply it, we were maintaining. And the permit we got up there
Yep,
said that we could maintain it.
so
I
this is
assume that we
maintenance?
have the right to maintain the dam. I've asked people, and they said, you know, they believe we have the right to maintain it. What we're gonna do there is remove a very, very small amount of material. An area that wide, by that deep, okay? And in some years in the future, somebody will have to go back in and do the same thing again. You know? Do we have all the correct answers? No. Do you want to wait till next spring to find out the answers? That's up to you.
I'm good with the maintenance.
I think we want to put the, I think we want to put the gates back on as soon as we can afford to do that.
You know, I realize that these gates, and I realize that fixing, blasting the dam and coating it and putting up a fence is way more work than you intended. You're coming up with a charter change that's going to change the way the town operates, and you're gonna have a facilities type of person around. These are all things that need to be done, and, you know, there's no budget for this, I understand that, but I just think we owe it to the people in this town to try to preserve the quality of the water we got there, and to preserve the lake in its state that it's in now. And, you know, if you have to call a special town meeting to get a little bit of money to do it, you know, but that's your call. I'm just telling you how I see it. And any of you that want to meet me up there, I'll be more than happy to show you exactly what's what. I mean, we need to build a rock retaining wall again. I inquired, they said it appears like it's maintenance, it's all rocks now, and they're now down in the lake. So, they were on the walls till people kind of helped them along, and they need to be put back where they were, and we need to put a fence up there. This is all your call.
So taking the rocks and debris out of there with another couple feet of water in the lake, is that gonna be problematic?
We do it before.
In other words, if we put this before town meeting and we can do it next summer, but you get another 2 feet of water in there, or 30 inches of water, can you still go down there and dig it out with as much ease as you could now?
What we do for the gates, John, we gotta do now, and we certainly don't wanna go down there with $8,000 or $10,000 worth of new gates and try to dig around them. And we can dig around them now without any gates being in there at all.
Yeah.
Right now, the most we can do is bend a bolt or two that sticks out. If you happen to hit a rock and something twists on the machine, I mean, it's pretty easy when you're digging for that machine to move an inch or two one way or the other. And, you know, right now, we can do it, and unless you, I mean, it's gonna be up to you people, whether you even wanna do it. We can put the gates back on, and you'll be able to lower them that much, and that's it, and if that's what you want, that's what'll happen, you know?
We
And
gotta-
so just the digging part of it, not getting into anything else, what would the digging part of it cost?
Well, it's gonna take us a few hours with the town tractor, and we'll have the town truck, and we'll have to bring another machine up there to anchor our tractor to. I mean, you know, we're not talking a few $100s, we're not talking
Okay.
great amount of money here. You know, you go into building a wall, I really wish that I'd met with Mainline today, as they had agreed to do, so I could have had a price for you on the fence, but I don't. I would estimate the fence at $5,000, but that's only off the cuff, that has no validity to it, okay? It's just off my cuff, that I would say $5,000, because the thing is gonna be difficult to put up, but I think it's,
So we got, I mean, we've got the new gates coming, we need to install them. I think certainly that can be done, you know, by Doug and the crew. The fence, the epoxying of the dam and all of that is another big chunk of change.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
And
thinking,
I-
you know, you maybe budget that for another year, but if
The real,
Maybe you
the
can
real
dig it
question is a
now.
guy like Knowles or whomever, can they, you know, I don't know how they approach re-epoxying these dams, but, you know, there's not a, you know, I think they could come back at some future date and do half of it, or whatever the case might be, by putting in, it's gonna be more expensive naturally, but not sure how they would do it now with,
Doug, do
2
we
feet
have
of
a
water.
price on the epoxy?
Well,
Yeah.
he gave me an estimate of $10,000.
Okay, and I would think you'd wanna do it when the water's down.
Well, if you don't do it now, it means that when you get ready to do it, you gotta drain the lake again.
Yeah.
or go to the expense of building or installing a coffer dam around wherever they're gonna do
You
the
can put a coffer dam around it and then pump out the coffer dam, but that's gonna be a very substantial expense too. You know. Or, if somebody asked about driving sheet piling, I can tell you right now, sheet piling's expensive, as I had told Gordon and the guys out there, we spent $35,000 to have a sheet piling put in so we could set a structure last summer. And they could drive it up with their crane. It was right in the middle of the field. They got $35,000 it cost us. Now, this isn't in the middle of the field. You got high tension lines up overhead. You gotta build some type of a road to get out there with a crane. Not an ideal situation. And believe me, I understand that none of this was planned on. So, you know,
So, do you think you can have a fence price by next week?
I certainly hope so. Thursday morning at 8 o'clock, I'm meeting with, 7 o'clock, I'm meeting with a gentleman from the fence company.
And Knowles is giving us a verbal quote, but they're gonna send us a written quote, right?
Nancy was calling the guy from Knowles this afternoon, but then I guess she's ill, so I don't know how she made out.
Well, she said that they're sending, she gave me some notes and said that the written quote is gonna be sent, but what they've told her is they're 2 to 3 weeks out before they could start.
What's the feasibility of using that fencing that's down by the transfer station, by the highway garage?
Pretty ugly.
Yeah, you know, to put a fence out here on level ground or something, we could do it, but to put a fence there, Gordon, wouldn't be I wouldn't be really interested in doing it. You know, I don't have what it takes to do it. You know, just. Well, how much less would it cost if we had somebody that did have the wherewithal to construct that there? Would that material that's down at the transfer station be usable, or? Well, the posts aren't usable because they're concreted in, so you'd have to take them out, and if you was gonna use them, you'd have to clean them, and I believe they're too short, okay? So you gotta have some new posts. You gotta have a walk-through, a man gate, which we don't have at all. So what we could save down there would be the fencing itself, which would be, I would think, a minimal cost of doing it. Then you gotta pay somebody to get down there and take it down, bring it up here, and I would think we would want something a little taller for a fence. I would go with a probably 6-foot-high fence there. I mean, I don't even know, is the consensus of the board that we should limit the amount of traffic back and forth from one side of the road, from the
I'm not sure that, not sure that a fence is gonna do that, because they can always walk, they can go over on other property and do that, but the fact of the matter is that the access on and off that dam probably ought to be controlled, and the only way you're gonna do that is put a fence up there.
To me, I mean, we've got some priorities here. Obviously, the gates have got to be put back in.
Yep.
So it has to be dug out. Do you want to do the epoxy? I mean, to me, if you're going to do it, the time to do it if we have the money. The fence would be the last thing to put up this year.
Well, that's what I'd really like to say, let's come up with a number of doing all, I mean, the gates are gonna go back on regardless, we've already committed to spend that money out of the municipal fund and that kind of stuff, so, but the real question is do we have, because it's $999, $9,900 for what Knowles has already given us for a verbal quote. And you're talking another $5,000 for fence. Is Knowles gonna redo that superstructure, all that iron and stuff that's on top of the dam? Is that
They're
part of
gonna
the?
they're gonna redo the steel and
Okay.
the dam, the outside. And I talked to this guy because I had a lot of concerns about, you know, do we get them to do it, or do we get somebody to come in with a vaca, machine that sandblasts and vacs, so we're not dumping that stuff into the lake. And he said, after I raised that question, he said, well, then we'll come in and we'll water pressure blast it. They have a high pressure
Yep.
water that they can peel it down just as good as they can with sandblasting. And then we won't have that contamination of all that black beauty or silica or whatever they're gonna use as a blasting agent, because they'll blast with water, okay? So, I believe that probably is a more expensive method than it would have been to have used the sand, but then we would have had to go on and got somebody that had a vacuum machine to come in, and, I mean, it would have been months or years getting anybody to do that, so. It seemed like there'd be a lot more DEP permitting process if you were gonna be introducing that sand agent into the water. We're not now, all we're gonna do is cleanse what's there, okay? I mean, if we use the sandblasting thing, that stuff would get in the water, and I'm sure DEP would have all kinds of,
I think we need a total number of where we are, and then I think we need to act on that to say, what do we gotta do?
I'll try to have a
And where
number
is it
for
gonna
you
come
on the
Let's get a cost on fixing the dam. Forget about the fence for right now.
Yeah.
You know, we'll revisit that, but
Yeah, I mean,
that's
it's
not.
the fence certainly
The
can be put
fence
up
isn't critical to the dam.
at
Fence
any
can be
period of
addressed when we
time,
do the
but-
budgeting.
The need we would have a.
But we ought to have the number, so that we're not roping it. What's going on there?
Okay?
Okay,
You've asked me about signs every week. Nobody's brought up signs. The signs are ordered. The PO's been issued. I have a question about color. I wanted these signs that said, speed checked by radar, to be in a highly visible color. According to the sign people, some dude from Augusta could come down here and take our signs down because they're not politically correct, because they're not the proper color. They're supposed to be black and white signs. I wanted them that iridescent green, something that would really show up. It's actually, believe it or not, a uniform traffic code Yeah. that has the signage in there, and you're right, the state would remove things that did not conform to the rest of the state. Otherwise, we'd have a rainbow effect, I think, across every community in town on what their color preference, in the state, and what color preference they'd like. So they do have a standard signage thing. So, the standard is black and white. He says he has done some in orange, yellow and black, or something that nobody has complained about. So, what is your pleasure? You are the people that wanted the speed by radar signs. What color do you want me to have them made?
Well, I would hate to have to go to court and have somebody say they didn't recognize the signs on because it wasn't black and white. So let's go with black and white.
Yeah, because they teach,
Yeah, because we're
they
gonna
teach
need-
the signage thing in driver's ed too.
and we're gonna need some extra money, so when they do run the speed trap up there, they can put a changeable sign that says, we're checking speed today. So,
If you don't mind, I'm gonna put up a sign that says speed checked by radar. And, excuse me. Nobody seems to want to talk to me. And, so, if you want them in black and white, I'll just have them done, but we're gonna put the signs up and then you're gonna, I guess you're gonna live with it. Okay?
all right,
Anything else? Oak Street?
Kurt,
Well,
it
since I was here last week, New Dam Road's been paved.
was done
I don't
within
suppose
60
anybody's
days,
known.
wasn't it?
What's that?
It was done within 60 days.
It was done within 60 days. It was done the following morning after I left here.
Some very happy people.
Medine Road is paved,
Now they can drive 80.
yeah, or 100. Doug and I had to talk about that because apparently not everyone's happy because there's no guardrails. So we talked about having a sign put up that says, "Don't drive over the embankment."
Oh, yeah, that's one of the reasons I'm meeting with Maine Line Fence, is because I'm having a lot of complaints about no guardrails. People say, oh, gonna drive off. We got 10 feet of pavement and 6 feet of level shoulder, and that isn't enough, so we will see if we can put up they have some used guardrails. We're up on Strout Lane, we've maintained that, it's a town road, we've maintained it. It's very difficult, the rocks were poking up through, we couldn't grade it, so we went up there, I took down some big trees, and we're fixing that up so it's passable. Oak Street is completely, the shoulders are all cut, Hemlock is partly cut, and if with any luck, within the next week, we're gonna have McClucas done and ready to pave, and that will be done and ready to pave.
I don't suppose some boulders would serve as a safety barrier on the New Dam Road?
Well,
Probably can't do that, right?
I don't know.
Today?
I mean, you used to have stone walls.
Yeah.
I suppose we could pay somebody to lay up a stone wall, David, but I figured if we put boulders up there, I thought about it, but I know somebody take a Jeep and push them, once they get the edge, they just roll down the bottom, and we'd have more damage to the road. I don't know, has any of you been up the New Dam Road? Gordon has, I know. Any of the rest of you? I've put the rocks there on the end and I painted orange. Those rocks are gonna come to the pavement about 2 to 3 more feet. The stop sign's coming out more, and then the rocks are gonna turn and block it, because I haven't moved them out yet, because I know as soon as I move them out, everybody's gonna drive behind them. So we're gonna build a barrier so they can't drive behind them.
They already did. I took a picture of it. I'll show you the tracks.
They've already driven, that doesn't surprise me. So we need everything in the town of Waterboro to build Sherman tank proof.
Thanks, Doug. All right, Selectmen's report, anything, folks? Amy Jo.
Had a Conservation Commission meeting last week. Talked about the plans for the wheel park so that the cars can't drive down onto the beach. The problem we're running into is we can't expend any funds without a town meeting vote, so that'll probably be a budget item for next year. We also kind of started talking about Moody Pond. Town does own that property. It's not utilized because of the restrictions that are in the deeds. We're gonna kind of dust that off, see what the restrictions are, and maybe see if there's any way that legally we could look at changing some of the deed restrictions so that we've got a parcel of property that we could actually use. Committee's going to start working on a budget, and one of the things that, discuss when we get to the budget season on the board is the past couple of years, Lake Arrowhead has come in and asked for money for milfoil, and we've given them money out of the Conservation Commission. We also took the sign money out of the Conservation because there was no committee. Well, now the committee is going to ask that no monies be taken out of that fund for those types of projects, because there is a Conservation Committee that's hopefully going to be active and having some projects. So, if Lake Arrowhead comes in and wants $3,000 for milfoil, again, then it come out of another item. Still looking for a few members. We've got one application on tonight's pack, but if anybody's interested, they're still looking for some members. And then on another note, I know Tom wants CIP plans from the board and whatnot, and Pete and I were talking, and Pete had an idea about changing all of the lights out so that instead of being the old fluorescent lights, they're the LED lights, which provide much better lighting and are very energy efficient. And at the same time, I told him maybe we could look at the automatic lights that when somebody enters the room, the lights come on, but then they turn off, and maybe that would be a great way of saving, not having lights on all the time. So Pete's going to get with Tom and put something together, and I told him if that was something that we could look at, I'd be happy to support Pete on doing that. And then he got thinking about, gee, could we do something like that at the fire department, at the library, and the cost savings, the lights would pay for themselves within a couple of years. So Probably see something from Tom and Pete on that.
Call Steve Everett, who used to be chairman of the Conservation Commission on
Yep.
the Moody Pond thing.
Yep.
They did a lot of work
Okay.
over the past number of years with that, but, and I can't recall for the life of me where they ended up, but I know there was a lot of discussion and
There's a filing cabinet that has all of the old records from the Conservation Commission. So, Conservation Commission is gonna meet upstairs where the garden club and the new meeting office. So, kind of at the next meeting, one of the things we talked about was bringing the filing cabinet up and starting to go through some of those old files. Maybe we'll find something
Yep.
in there too.
anything else? Other than Nancy's report, I think she just had, other than what, most of it was what Doug discussed, a copy of the first quarter budget report, which she's handed out here tonight. We've got an offer from Superintendent Davis to use the freshman campus, I guess is the official name for it, for future elections, rather than run it at the middle school. So he's offered that. There's a room there that we could hold election signs and equipment in on an annual, year-round basis and whatnot. Certainly plenty of parking in those things. It looks like it would not be, we couldn't get it usable for this November election, but it may be something to look at in the future. So. And just a reminder is that Nancy will be in Augusta on Wednesday and Thursday attending workshops in Augusta. Back in the office on Friday.
Could the Grange Hall be adapted on the sides, on the back side, for handicap accessible, and use that for a voting place? I mean, that's something that we could look into and not have to be relying on,
It's owned by the Historical Society.
yeah,
So.
you know?
Not a huge amount of parking there, but
Well, I think there's a
if you have 6 or 7 cars for people working the polls, and then, but
something to look at.
Yep. Yeah, it'd be interesting to look at, now that there's pushing 8,000 people in town and how many registered voters in big elections like that, to have maybe more than one location to do voting as well, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Anything else on the reports? New business, discuss vote a request from the Waterboro Eagles for the 3-year blanket letter of approval for the state games of chance, for the poker tournament, sealed tickets, daily pool, cards, or to approve the state license for the games of chance. I had a long chat yesterday with Tina. Their issue with the request, and I don't, said they used to have a 3-year letter of approval from the board. That was before
That was before you went on.
us coming back on this,
Yeah.
coming out of the board. I don't ever remember that, but that's not as important at this point as the approval of the gaming license to support the game of cards that they're looking at. And they're going to come back. If this is successful, they will be back next month. In her discussion is rather than them coming back every month or every other month to do this, they would at least look at getting it approved for a year, which the state will do. Problem is, it's $150 per tournament. It's $250 per month. It's $3,000 for a year's license, just to pay to the state. So there's some concern on their part that in order for them to operate on an annual basis, they'd have to lay out the $3,000 whether they ran any games at all. Whereas if we gave them some leeway of not running back to us every time they need a license, okay? But that's for, what she said is that's for another discussion. They're gonna be within another month. Anyway, the liquor licenses are all up for renewal. Maybe we can tackle this as a bigger thing. What I just said is, you need to come in and talk to us, right? It's nice to get a phone call, but, I'm not sure the last time we've seen anybody from the Eagles present here. So,
And then last minute,
yeah,
sort of dropping
and
it
it has
on the
been
table
somewhat.
thing.
So the request, and is the agenda says, or the gaming license, they've now pushed the date out by, I think, a week, so it's 10/18. It was gonna be 10/11, now it's 10/18, to run this Texas Hold'em tournament. So that's what they're looking to get approved,
That one time,
one time.
I would make a motion to approve the request for the one-time gaming license for the 10/18.
I'd second that.
Any discussion?
Yeah.
We've had feedback from, well, the lack of feedback, I guess. We've asked law enforcement if there's been any problems. There hasn't been any, I guess.
The whole Texas Hold'em tournament, how does that work? Do you know? How do they gain money from that? Do they take a percentage of winnings? Is there do you enter $20 to play the game?
I
How
think-
do they get the money?
I think the state controls how it's done. And there's a cut that they take off it. They have to pay the state $150 to hold the event,
Yeah.
right?
There's a percentage of the earnings that have to go out as it's a
Right.
complicated formula.
And then is there are the betting limits?
Don't know. That's all in and around the state guidelines and laws and whatnot. So, and it is, when you look at the gaming application that they've got in here, it's very specific. Tournament game up to 100 players, $150 per tournament, $250 for a month, 2 tournaments max, or $3,000 per year, 2 tournaments per month max. So the state is controlling this very, very tight. So,
Yeah, I
because it is,
didn't know.
but I don't know how the game.
If it's
Yeah.
nickels, dimes, quarters, and the person
Yeah, I
can
don't-
come out
I
of
don't
there
think they have
losing $50, or if you're talking something bigger where a person could lose
I
$1,000.
think as an entry fee, and I think that's what,
Yeah.
don't know. I'm not gonna speculate on how it runs.
Okay. Well, it's just, to me, it makes a little difference in that level of betting that you have going on. If it's, it's friendly cards, then, and you can go in there and play for 2 or 3 hours and win $25 or $30, that's one thing. But if you're looking at $1,000,
My suggestion, John.
it's a whole different thing.
My suggestion is that you go on to the state website on the game of chance. Thought the law was called out here, but I don't see it on the application. And look how they've got it identified. But,
Well, you
oh,
can,
here it is here.
or you
It's,
can wait a week and have
Go
some.
down,
right,
go
it's
down and play,
17,
John.
17,
Go down and play.
No.
17
They don't
MRSA,
win.
Chapter 13A is for Beano, or Chapter 62 for Games of Chance. So it's in Chapter 62 of MRSA 17, if you want to look it up.
Which is part of the criminal code.
Okay? Any other discussion? All those in favor? Thanks.
I passed on
Next item, you passed?
that. Yeah.
Not enough information?
No.
We abstained. Discuss vote to approve junkyard permit renewals for Richard and Robin Levine at 1190 Main Street and for Danny Lasky at Goodwin's Mills Road.
Everything's in order, right?
It would appear that way.
Nice. Move that we accept.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Discuss the vote to schedule a public hearing to consider approval of a pawnbroker's license for Waterboro Pond and Gold at 134 Main Street. And this application, everything is here. There is a requirement, if you remember, a few years ago, we actually came up with a municipal ordinance. And there's a series in your packet starting at, let's see. Starting at page 40 of the packet through the end. And as they have to sign off that they allow for a background check, $345 charge, and then there's a series of notes that went from Christina to the various folks in town with regard to other taxes paid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, we need a public hearing.
So move.
Any projected date, I guess, is, need to set a date.
When do they want to open for business?
Not sure that that's even addressed in here.
What are we doing the quarterly review, that's next week?
30th? He's got a lot there.
Yeah, I would say that at a minimum, it would have to be out to the 30th, right? So unless there's any problems with that, we'll have Christina schedule it for the 30th. So if I could just ask for an affirmative vote on that. All those in favor? Opposed? Thanks. And my suggestion is if there's any concerns or whatnot, read the pawnbroker's ordinance. And the name of the person and everything is in here if you want to look at and current business that's being run by that individual or businesses. Discuss vote to accept the donation of 2020 committee. I think this is on like page. I have to make sure that we have all the links next week.
So moved.
Tough. This is a $1,000 donation from Benefit Savings, and to support the next leg of activity of the town's village planning process. So we need to accept it as a gift.
I will move that we accept it with a great deal of gratitude to Benefit Savings. And I'm sure there'll be a letter of thank you.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
And the 2020 committee already has a letter together.
That's right.
Do we have to have a separate vote from the board authorizing the expenditure of those funds over their authorized budget as allowed by the
I would say
article
that
at town meeting?
we probably do when they get to the point where they want to expend those funds. And that really should be a message back to Tom that before they expend them, they need to come back and, because at this point, we've accepted them. And it would have to go back to the town meeting vote on gifts, the ability to spend, but I think they do need authority from us. That would be my opinion. All right, last item under new business, discuss vote on a committee appointment. This is a committee appointment.
I will
for-
move that we accept Todd Smith as on the, I forgot what the committee is.
Conservation.
Conservation Committee.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Old business, none. Warrants and bills for payroll?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Pending decisions, same list that we've had for a while. public service, driveway opening permit, board and committee status, barriers to private vehicles, all, and the cistern maintenance, all have stuff working. Week's action list. I'll get together with Nancy and Doug, I guess, to put some sort of a letter together to the DOT, and we'll copy Representative Libby and also we do all the members of the Transportation Committee, or just the co-chairs?
Usually when you just either send it to the co-chair or the secretary of the clerk, I should say, of the committee, then
Okay.
they will send it out to all the members. 'Cause
All right.
sometimes there's quicker emails and things like that.
Did you have a list of who the clerks are on those committees?
Yeah, I can pull that right up.
Yeah, it's right up on the website.
Okay.
I think, I know I looked at a couple of weeks ago, somebody was here, and, oh, I think, the night that Brad Littlefield was here, he mentioned Collins, and I think we pulled it up then, and all the committee members are listed on the website. Any other action items? I did ask Nancy for the audit report of where we stand. I don't know if you saw her response. Looks like, what's his name?
Chris.
Be here, Chris, the 29th. So it looks like we should have a pretty good shot at getting that done.
29th is a Monday.
Yeah, he'll be here that week of the 29th.
Oh, okay. Could we take off on pending decisions, number 4, barriers to the...
Yeah, it's really being worked, right? And I think from the cistern maintenance, we've got both the planning board and the fire chief. Fire chief is looking at the budgetary needs, right, that'll be submitted, and the planning board's looking at an ordinance. I'm not sure that we need the decision. I mean, there's action being taken, so I'm not sure that we need to. Agenda items.
Road commissioner coming in with a recommendation for,
The dam,
coming in with a cost, really. He's got the recommendation out, but the cost
dam costs.
for the dam.
We've got the quarterly review.
And the quarterly review is next week, so.
Are we having all the department heads come in?
The way that I had asked Nancy, only because it's the first one, we need them, the whole group.
We better make sure that that message gets delivered, because it doesn't seem like it has been very well in the past. We end up with 1 or 2 here.
And I sent an email back to Diane and the Finance Committee, because they were scheduled to have a meeting this week, and said can come next week to the quarterly review.
Does the curbing, I don't think we've ever got a definite price.
$1,250.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was on, I looked at Nancy's report, she had it up on the top.
Okay. Maybe that needs to be discussed next week, or decided.
Well, I think we ought to, what's left at the boat launch to do,
Whole package.
and that there. Okay?
Part of that boat launch package, I think, we've got to have the signage up there, and this is kind of a sore spot with me, that it's been, since we revised the parks ordinance back probably 4 years ago now, that the signage still has not been put up there, and each time we ask about it, it's, well, we're applying for a grant, and then it's my understanding that they did get some type of grant, because some signs were put in other places. But as high volume as the boat launch area is, and with the critical aspects of the milfoil and the driving on across that section that has the filtration system in it, I think it's about time that those signs get up there. I mean, it's just been way too long. So I would like to have that added to the
You
agenda.
want to add it to the agenda, or do you want to ask the Parks and Rec Director while he's here the following week? He's on the 23rd.
Well, I would like to see it remanded to the town administrator for follow-up.
Okay? So we'll add signs at the beach. Or the boat launch. Okay? Anything else? Moving along, items needing signature, warrants and bills for payroll. Reminders, Wednesday, October 10th, 9 to 4, in the other building, there'll be York County Committee Action Fuel Assistant appointments in the Old Town Hall. You must have an appointment. If you are interested in fuel assistance, please call 324-5762. Number again is 324-5762. David, we have it on the website, correct? So that is the number, and you have, that is with York County Community Action Fuel Assistance Program, and you have to have an appointment to come in and meet with them. October 10th, Road Review Committee at the Old Town Hall. The Planning Board site walk and Planning Board meetings have been canceled for Wednesday night. Senior luncheon is Thursday at 11:30 at the Snowmobile Club. Finance Committee is scheduled for 7 p.m. on Thursday night at the Old Town Hall. Cribbage Tournament is back this month at Saturday morning on the 13th at 8:30 a.m. in the Old Town Hall. Next Monday night here in this room, 12 Town Group meeting will be at 6:30. We will be here next week. This says Parks and Rec will be reporting. They will not. We've moved them to the 23rd because we will be having the quarterly review meeting here. Next Monday the 22nd, 2 weeks out, Community Garden Committee meeting over at the Old Town Hall. Transfer Station Committee at 6:30 at the Old Town Hall. And back here on the 23rd, and we will have Parks and Rec reporting out in lieu of the Road Review Committee and Road Commission. Anything else, folks? Not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you and good night.